What's on the chopping board is potentially Hermitcraft itself. Now, you got to understand that for the last 10, 11 years, I have been doing this Hermitcraft thing, and I absolutely adore it, still to this day. But yeah, I've been doing some soul searching lately, I guess you might call it. I decided after releasing my record that I now needed to really just jump into the music space again and be in that zone and find out what I could learn about it. So let me try and tell you where my head is at. I had a beautiful moment with the music again last night, but also before it, a bit of a struggle to get going. And I can now see how I've done what I'm doing right now for so long. A lot of content creation and streaming, for example, is like a thing that you can jump into, and the start and the end, I know it very well, where to go with a video, and a stream is even easier because you just turn up, do the thing, and then go. When it comes to content creation and exploring whatever this thing is, it's very like get in and get out. I kind of know the whole process. So when I've got an idea in my head for a video I want to make, like an episode of Hermitcraft, a tutorial, or whatever, it has this life cycle to it that I know extremely well. And so my internal desire for productivity or for my creativity to reach the audience, it's very much a known thing, and therefore it's easy to do. It's gratifying. It has light at the end of the tunnel each time you start it. Now, with music, it's not like that. I'm also not intending to turn it around for an audience. I'm not trying to go into the world of songwriting so that at some point in time you get a song that you can listen to. I'm not trying to approach it like that, but because my mind is so geared to thinking that way, it's been very interesting to step out of that space, because even though I'm in my music space, which I love, playing my guitar, writing some music, it's a place where when I like get into it, I just sort of lose myself. All the worries and the stresses and everything else just seems to disappear, and all that matters is the music that you're playing or working on. And that's very different because my mind still has this orientation towards like what's the end result. So although I might have a fantastic day just making music and feeling good, then it also feels like that day didn't end up with like a video you can now go and watch, or some sort of tangible thing that comes back to you, like some sort of metric. And I've been wrestling with that, and it's been really sort of, I don't want to say difficult, it's because I'm like willing to do this and to try and experiment. It's just been fascinating to see how the mind battles itself over these things. And I've been reflecting on how I used to write music and how much time I probably actually spent doing it. So on my computer, I've got like this big body of work of unfinished songs that I'd love to finish and get back into. And I'm learning that making music is a muscle. Parts of that are weak. Some stuff is easier than others. Sometimes I sit down and like it's really difficult to write because I just can't quite remember how I did it before. And so this sort of like big body of work though, it actually put together over like a long period of time. So let's say I've got these categories of demos that are done like year by year, and for each year maybe there's like 10 to 15 songs that are like, a handful of them are sort of air quotes finished, and most of them are like most of the way there, and then I've got a bunch of doodles and stuff lying around. Let's just simplify and say that that's like 12 songs. So over the course of a year, one song a month. Now all of a sudden it doesn't sound quite as impressive. Like if you think about, I say I've got this like body of work or whatever, and not all of it is like stuff that I particularly want to like release eventually, or to be out there in the world. Like some of it's just me trying to figure out how to write songs. There's a lot of songs I've written that are just literally in the style of other bands, but that's because I was like trying to figure out what are the components that make them who they are, and then how can I learn from that and create my own things. I thought a lot about how I used to live. I didn't have a exercise routine. I didn't have other commitments and things that I would do on a regular basis with other people, and other things that now are chunks of my time are taken up by. I had a very sort of loose, organic structure. I would spend much of my free time with friends, messing around, and it was in that environment, that very casual environment, that I would end up just sort of like turning to music and writing. And so I'm kind of grappling with that. Like actually what I was doing with the music was kind of like slow and casual and took place over a long period of time, and I just don't see it that way now because I have this other aspect of myself now that produces end results en masse. And so when I compare them side by side, it feels like very overwhelming. And so I'm having to train my brain to kind of think this is just a piece of time that I need to carve for myself, and I need to find the balance between the two. And that's going to be the big kind of difficult thing to figure out, because at the same time, YouTube turns you into an absolute beast of a content creator, right? When I get together with the other hermits and we have our meetings and chat, quite often we end up talking about YouTube on this perspective, and it's what all YouTubers do when they meet up with one another, because being a YouTuber really does something to your brain. And so I've been feeling a little bit insane lately, where I've taken a break and just watching how much my mind turns to this productivity, make a video mindset. And I've been asking myself why. And it's because the YouTubers just turned me into this. The platform that it is, the way you are as a creator, the cycle that you go through of creating content on a regular basis, you just get turned into a beast. And here I am coming to the other hermits thinking guys, I feel a little bit mad at the moment. I'm constantly thinking about making videos. And everyone's just yeah, that's being a YouTuber. So yeah, I've been thinking of restructuring how I want to release my music to the world, but I don't know where I'm going to go with that now. The key thing for me at the moment is really, as I step back into my usual routine and start to get back into it, so to speak, I really need to find that balance and those moments where I'm look, I'm feeling the music right now. Can I just stop this other thing that I'm doing? Because I put myself on such of a treadmill for creating content, and I need to change that mindset in order to balance both the music and the content that I'm creating. But I do think I'm going to be able to do it. But something is on the chopping board, as they say, when it comes to this. And this is the thing that has really been eating away at me when I come to think about it. At a recent Hermitcraft meeting we had, I expressed to the other hermits where I'm at with all this stuff, and had some really heartfelt discussion with some lovely messages from people. And oh man, it just made it so much harder. What's on the chopping board is potentially Hermitcraft itself. Now you got to understand that for the last 10, 11 years I have been doing this Hermitcrafting, and I absolutely adore it still to this day. The thing that's tricky is that as you get older, time just seems to move against you. When you're young, it just seems like you've got endless amounts of time. And then you get older, you have more commitments, and you have to manage your time differently. And it's the survival grind of Minecraft that is just... It feels like it's hard to create engaging content, or maybe even content that I want to create or that I'm happy about, that goes at the pace of the survival game like we once did it. You really do have to, these days, it feels like, bring something more than what we've seen time and time again. And the recent 1.20 update, and I think maybe even 1.19 as well, there hasn't been a lot of game-changing stuff happening to the game in a long time. Maybe caves and cliffs, but other than that, I feel like the pace of Minecraft's development means you're kind of stuck with the same experience to keep exploring deeper and deeper to try and find more interesting stuff, and it's just become a little, let's say, unsustainable. So for me, when I look at what's good for my channel in the long run, what I enjoy doing, what works, makes very much sense to just keep on with the snapshots. They are probably the strongest component of my channel. They'll potentially be around for a long time. It's sustainable. I also really love making those videos, believe it or not. That crunch moment when the snapshot comes out and wanting to figure out all the details and explain it best I can, I really enjoy that process, and over the years I've also tried to do it better and better each time. Whatever you think of my snapshot coverage, know that each time you watch a video, I've tried to make it better than the last time I covered it. This involves figuring out editing techniques that perhaps better convey the information, or learning how to look into the game's code a little better when it comes out, and creating checklists so I can really get into the details of what are these new blocks got going for them. Sometimes you just don't think, does it interact with redstone? But now it's on a list. So the snapshot thing is absolutely staying, and if I have more time on my hands, what I think is also really good for me and for my channel would be to get back to doing more tutorial myth busting related stuff, where new things come out and I can just approach them from a creative mode aspect. The alternative is that you wait a long time for it to arrive on Hermitcraft in survival, and then you tackle these new things in the game through survival, and it just feels like these things aren't adding up in terms of what's best for the channel. The reason I'm thinking about it in this way is because it's my job, and I want it to continue to be my job, and I also want to be able to explore music again. So I need to be smart about what I choose to do. It's a difficult thing, and Hermitcraft is kind of on the chopping board in that equation. It's my passion, but it's become a real grind in survival to reach that kind of level of being able to do new and interesting things in this game. Lexi asks if I'm leaving Hermitcraft. Absolutely not, absolutely not. Hermitcraft is on the chopping board, and I'll just have to be frank about what that means. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop making Hermitcraft episodes. I think it means I'm going to become more of a casual player. I'm going to be coming on here because I love it, and I'm perhaps not going to think about making content as much. I'll probably do a lot of streaming from Hermitcraft. That's probably going to be my angle in the future, is more streaming. But I still want to make videos. The next episode that I'm going to make on Hermitcraft Server will not be a normal episode. It will just be framed differently. It'll be like a one-off, and it will have normal type of Hermitcraft related stuff in it, but it will also have a bit of a spectacle. So where I'm thinking it works for me at the moment is like, I'm going to learn about the updates, I'm going to explore them deeper, I'm going to make my snapshot coverage better, I'm going to do myth busting alongside, and then when the update hits Hermitcraft, I'm going to be quite informed, and I think some ideas will come along the way there where it'll be like, that'll be a fun thing to do in survival with the other hermits. So what I plan to do is maybe just create like one-off novel episodes and try and just do really different stuff with it and not do that running season thing like I've done for 10 years. And believe me, it really messes with me to think I'm not doing that anymore, because I've done it for so long and I loved it. And here's the thing, back in the beginning of Hermitcraft, right, I thought that playing together in a group on a Minecraft server was so awesome. I was watching Minecraft and the adventures taking place on there, and I was very aware that what we were doing was like this new frontier. You know, hey, look, something's happening here that's not happened before, okay? Maybe to, you know, the idea of a Minecraft SMP to you might just be a bit common. Yeah, that's the thing in the world. But back then it was like, this hasn't been seen before. And I had an opportunity to join a group and be a part of it. And that meant so much to me. And I had such a great time. And it's such amazing memory for me to think back to, like those Hermitcraft days, all the fun times we had. I really miss playing with Biffa. So I'm incredibly fond of it, and like in season 2 when times were rocky and it looked like this might just go away and not be anything anymore, I just dedicated myself. I was like, I have to make this happen. I have to make Hermitcraft a thing. I was just completely driven to do what I thought was best for Hermitcraft. And that may not have always been the best thing. I have learned so many lessons about leadership and being in groups along the ways, and some of those have been painful and some have been good lessons to learn that are easy. But I was very driven and just wanted to make sure that Hermitcraft would continue to be a thing. And so change is the thing that you have to grapple with. It's going to continue to change. And I think, unfortunately, like, as much as I love that dream, kind of like lived it for 10 years. You know, the episode count is at 1,100. There was a reason when I put out my first episode of Hermitcraft, okay? I put 2 zeros in front of the 1. The first episode of Hermitcraft is 001. There was a reason for that. That's because I wanted to make hundreds of episodes. I wanted to do this for a long time. And then we got to 1,000. I didn't have that much foresight, so it got to 1,000. In your words, how has Hermitcraft changed? I mean, Hermitcraft has just become more and more amazing with time. Everyone involved has gotten better and better at doing their thing. And where I'm at with it is just, okay, I really, really value the music, and I really have to get my head in that space again and just try it. So did you enjoy the waffle? Want to hear more stories and thoughts? Check out the playlist link below if you want more videos like these, and of course subscribe to the channel to catch future ones, and go to linktree.xisuma.co if you'd like to find links to all of the other activities that I do, including playing guitar, making music, Minecraft videos and much more. Go check out that link.